Hey Patreon, once again guys, thank you for your support. So in the Minnesota playbook, defensive playbook, I'm going to show you basically how I run this playbook online, the things I would do online. So I wanted to just let you know, I was looking at this playbook and I'm looking at all the different formation setups. One of the reasons why I like this is this 3-3 odd formation. This has got some good looping blitzes that you can use. It's also got 2-4, which essentially is just a standard nickel blitz. You've got your double A gap, and then you also have a Cub version of this. It's not as good as Penny, but Cub is a pretty good version of this if you want to kind of simplify this down. You got 43 best defense, which would be the 61 even, and then you have yourself the 34 odd, which is a defense that I like to use, and then on top of it you got the bare front too. I'm not going to jump into Cub as a formation. And then you also have dime packages here. You've got two different variations of dollar. So you've got the 2-2-3 Sam and the 1-4. What I like about this is it allows me to have two different formations I can jump into to give a different look to my opponent from the dollar formation. And then obviously we have prevent, nothing I'm going to use a lot, and you have the goal line defense. But let's go ahead and jump into this. I'm going to jump into the formation that I'm just starting to use, and I think this is a really OP formation. Is this 34 odd? So let's go ahead and jump into that. All right, so the 33 odd formation basically has some really cool principles in it. For the most part, you got yourself a lot of match. You've got palms, you've got quarters, you got cover 6. You got cover 9, you've got basically cover 3 match type principles, but you also got a cover 4 drop, which is nice to have, and then cover 6 Willie. Now, the play that actually, you've also got yourself a cover 3 cloud too, which is really nice too. Now, the play that really caught my attention in this particular formation is the 34 odd cover 3, the 33 odd linebacker cross 3 show 2, and this has got that looping blitz meta. Now here's what I'm going to do with my audibles. I'm going to use cover 4 drop. I want to basically have my guys fall back in coverage, making sure I can protect against the sticks and stuff like that. You might run into somebody that might want to try throw deep bombs and just do whatever. This is a nice little formation that you can jump into. For blitzing formations, I'm going to go ahead and use this linebacker cross 0. This is a nice little blend. You've got the cross that you can actually use and man people up to try to catch your opponent off guard. And then you also have another formation, another play I'll jump into is going to be the cover 6 Willie. Now, I usually would put like a cover 2 shell in here, or maybe cover 9, but I've discovered that I want to go ahead and use cover 2 man as my cover 2 zone setup, because I usually have to make a lot of adjustments anyways, and I figured I'm going to protect myself against anybody that might snap a ball quicker than I'm prepared by using cover 2 man as the adjustment. Now, out of the huddle, we might use something like a cover 9, or maybe this hot blitz and bail, but the play that I really want to go ahead and emphasize essentially is going to be this linebacker cross 3 show 2 and how to set this up. Now we're going to go ahead and run this against random shotgun plays, and then I'll show you how to set this up. Now I'm going to use this guy right here. This is going to be this safety that we're going to use down in the box. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the defensive line and we're going to shift it away from the running back, and then we're going to go ahead and tighten up our linebackers to put them like this. And the reason why this is to get a nice little blitz angle. Now, the guy that we're going to go ahead and man up is going to be the defender that's going to be away from the blitz angle. So if you shift the line to the right, you want to go ahead and basically go ahead and use this as your blitzer, and this guy right here, Pace Jr., is going to be your number 3 guy. If the defensive line is going to the opposite side, we're going to go ahead and use this as our blitzer, and this is going to be the guy we're going to man up. So this is how we're going to set this up. Now, this is our guy that's actually got a responsibility, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put him on the number 3 wide receiver, and I'm going to try to protect against the seam right over in the middle of the field. And then once I know that this is clear of an area to go, that nothing's getting thrown in this area, I'm going to be a free agent, just kind of muck up the routes. Now, what's cool about this particular formation and this play is that you've got this inside looping blitz that will actually get into the quarterback's face really, really quick and make things very hectic for your opponent. So let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and show this to you once again. Jump into this really quick for you. So here's your play. This is going to be our base play, and we're going to run this against random defenses. So we're going to set this up, pinch this guy down, and then if I have basically a running back and the backfield is my number 3 receiver, I'm going to go ahead and set the blitz play up like this, with the hope that he doesn't do any kind of like fast little routes to the outside. Let's see what we set up with this as far as the defense is concerned. Okay, here we go. So we're going to shift the line away from where the running back is at, pinch the line down, and then we're going to go ahead and man up the running back like so. So this is going to be how our blitz angles are set up. And you can see right here, that guy got set up right there. Let's go ahead and set this up once more time. I actually went ahead and set up the wrong guy. All right, so we're going to shift the line off, pinch, and then we're going to go ahead and cross man. The defender's not going to blitz. So here's your setup. I didn't set it up correctly the first time, and sometimes your motor skills when you're coming into different setups will do this. I would recommend going in practice mode and just setting up this defense really quick, and then when you get into practice mode and you feel you're pretty successful at it, what you want to do is to basically go ahead and do it in play now, and then after that you can become a little bit better at it. So here we go. So here's your setup. I've got the one guy manned up. My responsibility is to protect this seam and then play down to the box. I look for any guys crossing and just know that the pass rush is going to get out there. So I'm going to show you basically what happened. Even though there's an out, that was a reception, it's not a huge deal. Take a look at the instant replay. And this is what I was going to show you earlier. Watch what happens with this guy right here. So our blitzing guy that's going to get in, and you want to put your fastest guy right here. See how this guy comes in like so? He does get picked up on a block. It was kind of like a unique play right here. But look, he actually comes in. He comes off clean because the guard and the center doesn't recognize the splits angle. So it's very critical that you have this set up like so. So now I'm going to put my number 3 receiver. I'm not really going to worry about the left side of the field because I've got kind of a triangle over there. I'm going to worry about the box over here, and I've got basically that 3 wide receiver area kind of set up. And you can see how this actually is pretty good locked up defense. So let's go ahead and motion this guys off, close this guy down. So you're going to set this up. Here's your angles. Down in the box. And what I love about this crossfire is that it really, really attacks the run very well. And what we're going to do is man up that 3rd wide receiver so we don't really have to worry about it too much. Got motions out. I'm going to play the box right here. You see how this protection's right over the middle of the field. So post, you got yourself a nice little protection. Let's go ahead and take a peek in the backside and watch how these pressure kind of comes in this type of situation, kind of comes over the middle of the field, so you can do that. Now, if you wanted to, you could set up the blitz like this on a regular basis. You can actually go ahead and shift off to the left and crossfire. What's going to happen is these guys are going to kind of come into the box right there, but the problem is that you do lose leverage if you shift away from where the formation strength's at. Going to man up. What you could do is you can man up on the running back too, and your responsibility is to play the seam. This is actually going to work very well. Here's your seam route, and that was manned up in that type of situation, or they do that. So let's go ahead and take a look at instant replay. I need to jump into the other formations. All right, so look how the blitz comes around. You got a very fast guy. He's going to get in the face of the quarterback, and he's not going to allow that. So that center's not going to be able to play that correctly. So that's what I like about this particular defense. Now, you want to kind of blend things in a little bit. So you want to jump into cover 2, pinch these guys down, play this guy down to the box. And what you could do is just play this guy down in the box. And now you've got basically a cover 4 shell that you can use against your opponent. I send my spy right there in that type of situation, and that's why he did this. This is also a really good formation for a formation like so. because you've got basically this is going to get that pressure on the inside. It's going to get the little looping action, and it just makes it a little bit harder for your opponent to actually go ahead and try to cover that type of stuff up. So that's what I do like about it. It speeds everything up as far as the coverage. Now, if I got a guy that's going to go ahead and run something like this, I want to go ahead and make sure that I've got some guys out there. So we can go ahead and set this up like so. If he doesn't run the ball, in this type of situation, you don't really have to worry about it too much, but I'm going to jump out of that particular play right there if he's in an open formation. So cover 4 is really nice to have this in your back pocket. You can go ahead and take your guys down, put them into a show blitz type situation, knowing that these guys are all going to come up in coverage, and it's going to make it a little bit harder for your opponent to go ahead and stop things. So you can see how you have that coverage to go into it. Here's another formation I'd probably jump into is maybe the cover 6 Willie. This is a really good formation to go ahead and jump into. What I would do is I would definitely go ahead and user this guy right here, which is going to be the deep half, and man up accordingly. And what I like about it is that it's just a really easy play to jump into, just to kind of give your opponent kind of a different look. So if you go ahead and set this up, so here you go, you can set this up. Your opponent can kind of have a little tell, but now you've got that man coverage underneath, but you also got the box formation on the back side, which can catch your opponent off guard. So that's what I do like about it. Now, if I really want to go ahead and play mind games with my opponent, I can go ahead and jump into cover 2. And one of the things I can do is the following. I can go ahead and do an adjustment where I'm going to zone all my linebackers. I'm going to take my outside cornerbacks and put them as soft squats. And the inside slot defender, I'm going to go ahead and put them on a hook zone. And then another thing I could do is I can go ahead and drop my outside defender into basically another hook zone, and then I've got myself a cover 2 match shell against my opponent, and he might not be used to seeing something like that. So this is a really good shell to go and jump into. I can quickly jump into man coverage against my opponent with this. So you've got basically that man coverage shell that's going to kind of catch him off guard, and you got inside shade. So this is just another way to go ahead and just catch your opponent off guard. But I'm actually really liking having the ability to go into cover 2. And the reason why is that it does take some time to set this stuff up. But you're going to have guys in match principles, in man coverage principles, that are actually going to be in place. So if he does quick snap, you're going to have at least some type of coverage that you can protect against. So that's what I do like about jumping from cover 2 man into a zone cover 2 match. More than anything else, you could do, coincidentally, you could do basically a cloud flat if you wanted to on the outside. And man up your guys like that. That'd be like another thing you could do too against your opponent, to have that type of cloud coverages, and you can drop that middle linebacker into a deep third, and that just kind of makes things a little bit more interesting. So I like the flexibility of this. I'm really not going to get out of that cover 3 more than anything else, and the reason why is that it's just super effective. I'm always going to man up my defender on the number 3 receiver and just kind of attack my opponent accordingly, but I really do like it. It's a really good defense. Let's go ahead and jump into the next defense. All right, so the next defense we're going to take a look at is going to be the 2-4. This is the standard nickel defense that I've been using for the longest time. You could put in safeties at the linebacker spots, but I find that as long as you've got fast defensive linebackers, it's good enough. Usually the number I'm looking for is anybody that's over 87, 88 speed or so. So I put safeties in if I can't find anybody that's going to be over 88 speed. Now, here are my audibles. I've got cover 9. I've got the storm blitz as my man blitz. I got cover 3 hard flats. I use this for people that like to jump into mesh. And then I've got the cover 4 quarters is my adjustments. Now, out of the huddle, I'm going to call cover 6. I like to have cover 6. Another thing I want to do is I want to base align my defense, and my preference is to have option as conservative, but I'm going to use cover 6 as my base defense and just kind of get a feel for what my opponent is doing from there. So typically what I like to do is I can go ahead and show blitz on this. I like to use this defender right here in the box, and my responsibility is to kind of play the deep, deep quarter right here for any kind of passing that goes to the outside. But what's cool about using this guy is that it allows me to go ahead and protect against any kind of run that, or like any kind of pass and stuff like that, or run if my opponent uses that cover 6 guy. So if I've got 3 wide receivers on one side, I want to flip out of that. I'm going to go ahead and jump into cover 9. I'm going to try to shift my guys over a little bit, and if I anticipate basically my opponent's not going to do any kind of flood concept with the running back and the wide receiver, I'm essentially going to go ahead and use this 3-rec hood player and look for anything that's kind of crossing over the middle of the field, and just let my quarters, my Palms quarter defense play its role. So this is why I jumped into this particular formation, is to run this in particular, like so. And then I'm just going to go ahead and play the middle linebacker and just kind of match any kind of stuff that goes under. And you can see the flat route is going to have a defender that's going to come down and play that. So why I have the balanced defense like that is I want to go ahead and try to protect against any kind of quick snapping. Another adjustment too is I'll take that outside defender, put a hard flat out there, because the Palms defense shell on the right side of the field sometimes will get broken, and I'll put a shell out there to do that. So you can see how this guy actually matched and covered like that. Now sometimes what I'll do is I'm going to jump into cover 3. It's usually for tight sets. If I anticipate someone's going to use this type of shell, I might bring this guy down, put him in the box, and then click off of him and play a defender on the opposite side of where the running back is at, and try to go ahead and cover things up. You can see how the running back was the only open route. Everything else was kind of bottled up. So that's how I like to set this up. So here you go. A tight set would be more likely something what I'm going to do with cover 3. And I might close the line up a little bit, pull this guy down closer, like I'm going to user that guy, and I'm going to go ahead and jump on one of these linebackers to get into the box right there. And that's why you want to go ahead have a situation where you've got QB option on. And here is another situation where you're going to go ahead and put this. Now, if I only got a single wide receiver off to the left like this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and man this guy up on the backside with basically cover 9. And I'm not really worried about him beating me over the top of the field, but I'm going to watch for anything that's going to come over far over to this side. And really, to be frank with you, I would say that if I see like a situation where I've got a couple of guys on this side of the field, I might jump into cover 4 and still man up that backside, and have my box on the right side with a quarter flat over there that will actually take anything that comes underneath, like this route right here. So you can see the matching principles right there. Everything was pretty much locked up, and then when he does a motion, auto motion like that, would be something I would jump into. Similarly, we could do a situation like this where we've got cover 3, and I'm just going to go ahead and play this guy right here on this backside and just try to defend it. Okay, so most people are not going to use like QB draws in that type of situation. Not a very common play that people use online. So we're going to jump into the quarters, match this up on the backside, and I'm looking for anything that's going to carry over the top from right to left, with this strength of this formation right here. So you can see how this actually just gets locked up. There's really nowhere for the CPU to go with that. So if I've got 3 wide receivers on this side, if it's a bunch set, it is actually better to go and stick with this cover 9 shell, like a cover 9 shell. And I'm going to go ahead and user this guy right here over the middle of the field. This is going to be where I'm going to probably use This actually might be a good situation where you want to use do some type of like a wheelie type formation or something like that. So what you could do to kind of to generate a wheelie is do the following adjustment: is just man up your backside guys, and I'm just going to use this guy over here. And you can see how pretty much there are defenders in that area. He got underneath the zone, but it was, you know, it was pretty much covered up. So this is a defense that I use a lot just to kind of get a feel for what my opponent likes to do. The problem with this defense is that it doesn't necessarily take away from you know, basically this type of stuff. It doesn't take away a lot of plays. It just gives you a better feel for it. So I like to just have these type of stuff. If I want to go ahead and hit my opponent with some blitzing, I can obviously do that. So if I'm going to motion that guy over, play this running back right here in this type of situation, I can blitz. This guy's completely out of position, so he's going to have to get over to the flat, because that's going to be an area that that the opponent will probably attack when he's got 4 wide receivers like that. You set this down. You can go ahead and drop this guy down in the box. Just do an inside shade right here. And it's just like a nice little thing to have into it. So let's go and jump to the next. All right, so the next formation is going to be the 3-3 Cub. This is not a formation that I could say that I really mastered at all. I've used it with the penny defense, but I found that it's actually kind of weak against the run. From an audible standpoint, we're going to use the Sam Will Blitz 3 as one of our audibles. We've got the Mike Blitz O, cover 4, show 2, and then basically the cover 3. I'm going to basically have base aligned, so it's going to show 2 all the time. And then one of the primary formations we're going to jump into is going to be the cover 3 buzz. And then we're going to just use this as a base play. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I'm going to use this. If I'm going to go ahead and use this play, I'm going to go ahead and use a middle linebacker, because it's going to be pretty much protected by everything else. And if I'm going to come out of this here play, I'm always going to play the sticks and let my opponents attack me underneath. My responsibility is to kind of play this middle area right here. That's my responsibility. And I'll let my opponent go ahead and attack me underneath. There's not a problem I have no problem with that at all whatsoever. So here's your defense sticks. You can do hard flats. If you want to do hard flats, you can definitely do that. You could shift your defensive line away for where the runs threat is at. But if you play sticks, these guys are going to fall back basically at a higher level, and allow your opponent to attack you underneath, but it won't allow you to let your opponent get anywhere else. So this is a pretty good play that you can use. You could go ahead and you know, basically go ahead and blitz your guys right here and play this guy down in the box where you actually have a threat. And this is going to get some pressure in fairly quick. That's one of the advantages of the defense, is that you can send pressure at any time. Let's go ahead and motion this down. I'm going to go ahead and take this guy down in the box right here. And I'm going to try to get over to the wide receiver strength side of the field, which is kind of even. But you can see how this is going to be a fairly fast play where the opponent has to get rid of the ball. So we're going to go ahead and show blitz, blitz all. And I'm going to go ahead and play this box right here. And just kind of play against that. You can see the pressure comes in. Now let's go ahead and take a look at other ways to set this up. I like this you're going to play right here, and the reason why is that I can go ahead and set up like a cover 3 shell like this. And this essentially is going to be a cover 3 shell where you got a lot of matching principles going up the middle field. And it makes it a little bit harder for your opponent to make reads. Now, you're not going to see a lot of people are going to do a lot of goofy screenplays like that. Not a very common scene. One of the reasons I don't like this defense, I like the penny defense over, is because you have easier access to your linebacker responsibilities. But you can see how that actually was a contested ball right there. You had to throw perfectly in the gap, and that's not a very good throw. What's cool about this too is that you've got the seam concept too. My responsibility is to cover up the third wide receiver. but you can see the pressure comes off fairly quick with that particular play. Another thing you could do too is you can use basically hard flats and put those guys out. You have like kind of a shell like so. What I don't like about the Cub defense is that you have your linebackers. This guy right here is your linebacker responsibility. And your middle linebacker is your linebacker responsibility. Then the other guys is a lineman responsibility. So it's just a little bit harder. You'd have to practice this defense a couple different times to kind of make that adjustment. A cool thing about this defense too is that you can show your opponent cover 2. You got cover 4. So you could switch up your defensive shell with a cover 4 shell, and that gives you your cover 4, your cover 4 quarters type shell. And then also, if you got a guy that runs a lot of flats against you, you can go ahead and use a cover 2 shell and hard flat these guys. So it takes away any kind of flat routes, and you can see if you can try to hit you in the corner or over the seam like that. So you can see my defender was there. I just didn't play it correctly. Let's go ahead and try it again. Hard flat. So if you got a guy that's maybe a 4th and short, you can jump into cover 2 and just say, hey, try to beat me underneath with some type of a bubble route like that. It's nice to be able to have that as a read. So we're going to set this up once again. Hard flats. And what's cool about this is it's a really easy play to set up. So very easy adjustments for that. So that's how I'd run that defense. That defense I'd probably jump into too much, but it is something nice if you wanted to go ahead and mix things up against your opponent. Just give him a different look so he has a hard time picking up a tendency. Is definitely something to do. Now, the next formation we'll take a look at is going to be the double A gap. I was experimenting around using the blitzing corner on trying to set this defense up. It just didn't work. There was a couple of people that had a hard time with it, but for the most part, majority of the opponents that I ran against this particular defense had a pretty easy time. I would say from a situational standpoint, you want to set things up as the following. I'm probably going to come out of the cover 1 hole as a defense, or basically the mid blitz O as a defense. I'll share with you that the best way to run this is man aligned. And I like to use this cover 1 hole as a base defense that we're going to go with. I usually blitz all. And I'm going to go ahead and take this guy down and you blitz him too. And I'm going to go ahead and shade to the inside. I'm going to let my opponent attack me on the outside, but I don't want him to hit me on the inside. And I'm going to go ahead and user the running back in a situation to try to take that away. So it was auto motion, outside leverage. I did inside shade. But all the routes are going to the outside, and that's just something you want to pick up on too when you got to play a guy plays tight sets. So let's go ahead and motion this out. We're going to go ahead and do outside shade. Put this guy down in the box to try to protect against the running back going to the flats. You can see how he's going to the flats, and we want to go ahead and take that away as a fast read. Now, what you could do is you can play a little around with your opponent a little bit. You could drop yourself some hard flats out there and shade to the inside, and then user this middle linebacker guy. And this will actually give you an opportunity to catch your opponent off guard. I would say you're better off using this guy as a free agent and dropping your guys into hard flats, and then dropping your middle linebacker into basically into a spot like that. So this is something you want to throw into with this game. I don't use mid blitz. I don't think it's really necessary. You could. I just don't like the alignment of the defenders. They're not as tight as basically cover 1 hole. So I just prefer that a little bit over that. And then you could potentially go ahead and use this cover 3 version is another way to go and attack your opponent. Another way you could set this up is use basically cover 3 as a way to go ahead and attack your opponent. I'm going to use the cover 3 seams as an adjustment. So I'm going to come out of cover 1 hole, and I might go ahead and jump into cover 3 and drop my guys down, and I'm just going to go ahead and blitz everybody and try to defend against any kind of like, you know, crazy situation where he actually goes and throws. So my responsibility is to go ahead and do that. So let's just go ahead and jump into cover 3, blitz all, bring my guy down here in the box, and I know that I'm going to go up in coverage to attack my opponent. And what's cool about this too is that you can actually go ahead and jump into cover 3 and then have yourself a guy have one of your guys actually drop into a zone, into a deep zone, and you play in the box with the hope that you're actually going to go ahead and do that and mess your opponent up. So that's what I do like about this. So this is a nice little scheme to jump into. You might want to try and invert it to catch your opponent off guard, but for the most part, I'm using cover 1. I will do you know, some other defenses and stuff like against my opponent, but this is a nice little blitz package to jump into, because that cover 1 whole blitz is just something people have to comprehend, like actually stop. It's a pretty good defense to jump into. So let's go ahead and jump into another formation out of this play. All right, so the next formation we're going to take a look at is going to be this even 61 defense. This is a really good defense to use against an opponent that's in a heavy set. You're not sure exactly what they're going to do. What's cool about it is that you've got this cover 4 quarters. You got yourself basically, you know, your Sam will blitz defense, which kind of works like the double A gap defense. And then you also have this Sam blitz 3 cover 3 match defense. I would say for out of the huddle, probably the best a setup that you want to do out of the huddle is to flip the play and then use maybe the cover 3 buzz as a base formation to use against your opponent. Now I'm not going to use cover 3 buzz as my base defense. I'm probably going to go ahead and use more of a pressure defense. And what's cool about this defense is that by pulling this guy down in the box, you've got edge pressure that's going to come off the edge. For the most part, your opponent is really going to have a hard time doing that. So we're going to go ahead and set this up again. Take this guy down to the box, try to get that center's attention. And what happens is he should get out there and play that coverage correctly. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that we go into this cover 3 blitz. You need to get the center's attention. So you can blitz your guy down. Here's your edge pressure that's going to come in. You've got your matching principles on the backside. Now, if I see basically a formation like that where I've got an open formation, a defense out of this particular formation I found that's really good against open formations is the Sam will blitz. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this against like open formations like this empty base trio. So we're going to go ahead and do that. What I've found is that your pressure is going to come in. I like to go ahead and use this guy right over the box. And I want to shade my defenders on the inside. What's cool about this is that you know you got pressure coming in. And it's really going to be difficult for your opponent to stop that type of stuff. Now, what you could do too is you can use one of the line people too. And that's going to get some pressure in too. I just find the edge defenders are a little bit better. So that's why I like to go ahead and do that. And I like to shade the inside. I'm saying you can beat me on the outside if you want to. But for the most part, I want to go ahead and make sure that he can't go ahead and get me on the inside. So I just find that this is a little bit more consistent with that pressure coming off the edge. So it's pretty nice to do. You can also manually rush your guy down too. So if there is any kind of a shade, you can do that too. From a standpoint, the cover 4 quarters is just a nice solid defense that you can run. So you pretty much, your responsibility is to kind of match these type of principles underneath. You got your edge rushers and all that kind of stuff. They're going to come down and play that for you. So you got matching principles right here. And responsibility is to kind of play that underneath stuff. So this is not a formation I use a lot, but I'm going to use this more against heavier sets because I want to make sure that I've got that blitz. So if I see, not against passing formations, but if I see I'm running against, say, a formation where they're running the ball like a strong close, I'll jump onto this really quick, maybe run cover 4, press my guys down, and get guys in the box and see if my opponent tries to run against me. Another way to go ahead and make the run defense a little bit stronger is that you can go ahead and take your outside defenders and put them in squats, and they'll actually go ahead and play better, stickier run defense. They're going to get out there. All right, so I ran right past the running back, but you could stick your run defense if you do that. So if you know your guy's going to run against you, you can always go ahead and run put soft squats out there. The risk is if he throws a streak, it can get a little bit ugly, but it just makes your defense a little bit stronger. And another thing to make your defense a little bit stronger too is that you want to use that middle line, that middle safety, and then shift your line off to the strength of the formation, and that'll actually get some more guys down there in the box for you. So good way to go and run this 61 defense. This is just how I do it. It's not a defense I really have mastered. I'm more of a nickel person more than anything else, but this is a pretty solid defense against the run if you got a guy that likes just running the ball extensively against you and you're struggling against it. So let's go and jump into the next one. All right, so the next formation we're going to take a look at is going to be the odd 34. This is one of my favorite defenses in the game. I always want to have this in my playbook, so it kind of eliminates some of the 43 defenses out there. In particular, my audibles are going to be the cover 4 drop, the pinch buck O. I used to use the variations of cover 2, but I found that cover 2 hard flats is better, and then a cover 3 match. Now, out of the huddle, I want to come out of maybe cover 4. I'm going to use one of the middle linebackers. My preference is the right side more than anything else. So I'm going to run cover 4 quarters, and we're just going to run this against, let's just say we got strong defenses. We're going to do single back as a base defense. Now, you can't press your guys down. One adjustment I like to do too, I'm going to just go ahead and jump back into my settings real quick. I'm going to go ahead and base a line, make sure my guys are on conservative, and what I want to do is I want to go ahead and put myself in a situation where I've got the option of a blitz. So one of the things I like to do is I like to close up my linebackers and spread out my linemen, and I'm going to blitz all. And what this does is just it says crazy pressure off the edges against your opponent, where it makes it very fast, where he has to make a decision very, very fast on what he wants to do. So let's go ahead and set this up again. So we're going to press all. We're going to go ahead and just blitz all. And then we're going to pass commit. And a lot of times what's going to happen is this is going to get some crazy pressure. So this is a good defense to jump into. In a situation where opponent's he has to get some yardage, 4th and long, 3rd and long type situations, because he's going to have to make a decision quick, and a lot of times they're going to make some pressure, and this is how you can really play around with your opponent's head. So he knows that you're going to send pressure against him. You pull your defenders up like so, and say, hey, pressure's coming your way. You're going to have to do something about it. So that's what I like about it. Now, your best bet is to use cover 4 drop, show your opponent the same type of a look, bring your guys down to the box, and just let these guys fall back into zone coverages, and just let him make reads from there. So that's what's cool about this defense is that you can show the threat of the blitz and then jump into some type of a zone coverage. Now there's a high probability that against zone cover 4 and cover 4 drop is that he's going to jump into some type of flat beater. So this is why I go ahead and use cover 2 hard flats. I want to go ahead and show my opponent the same type of a look, but now I'm going to be jumping into some type of cover 2 zone. and for the most part, they're not going to really run up the middle of the field. It's not going to be something they're going to do. But why I've got the hard flats out there is that for the most part, he's going to have to make a decision if he wants to throw to the flats. And if he is throwing or attacking the flats, you've got this beautiful, hard blitz that you can use against your opponent and actually get the pressure in, but also have guys taking away the flats. Now, another adjustment you can do too with the hard flats is take your inside defenders and actually put them on hook curls. So if he's actually looking to go ahead and play underneath with with a fast read, he'll have to go ahead and make that adjustment. Now that was just the perfect play. He had 7 people blocking and only 2 routes going out. But what this does is it's basically taking away any underneath routes, hook curl routes, underneath stuff, that if he tries to go ahead and just run a fast pass play, is going to get taken away. So it's usually best to set up your coverage adjustments, then blitz, and kind of go from there. And make those adjustments from there. So this guy's jumping into these particular plays right there in that type of situation. Man is actually better. Do inside shade. So just a really good defense to go jump into, because it's going to attack against the run and take away those fast reads. And I like the blitz angles too. Just seem a little bit tighter more than anything else. Cover 3 match is just a basically cover 3 match that I just want to throw into the scheme. So you can catch your opponent off guard with a cover 3 match. Now, if he doesn't, you can use that as kind of like a play to jump into if you think there's a threat of a run, because you got guys in run fits. And if you got your cover 3 match, you've got your middle defender that you can use her down in the box, and this kind of helps against run fits and also provides you some protection and some coverage for that. With the cover 3 match too, you can also go ahead and do hard flats against anybody that's running some type of a mesh concept. So it gives you good run fits and stuff like that. So it's a good defense to go ahead and use to kind of feel out your opponent. I would say probably your best bet is to use cover 4, pull your guys down to the box, get a feel for what your opponent likes to do offensively. But it's going to get a bunch of people in the box. It's going to make it difficult from the run, and you've got the versatility to attack your opponent in different areas. So let's go ahead and jump into the next formation. All right, so the next formation we're going to take a look at is going to be the bear fronts. And the only formation I'm really going to use out of this is going to be this cover 3 hard flats, and this is going to be used for a deuce close type formation. So deuce close single back, or maybe deuce close or deuce close type of shotgun formations. And the reason why I want to do this against these particular plays out of deuce close is that it's got really good pass responsibility. So with this, what I want to do is I want to close up the line, and here's my adjustments that we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and take our inside linebacker. We're going to mat him up on the outside receivers like so. This is going to be our adjustment like that, and we want to bunch up the line just to kind of take away any kind of running lanes that your opponent likes to go ahead and use. So let's just go and set this up once again. Set up this defense like so. Bring my guy down to the box. And what I like about it is that it's really going to go ahead and shut down a lot of passing concepts that people use in deuce close. Typically it's deep crossers, and the other adjustments that a lot of people like to use are going to be like bench concepts. So you can see how even though this defenders basically got out, pretty much there's people in every type of position. So it's going to be kind of a little bit of a tighter formation to go and throw. Got a defender out there, but that's a little crossing route that they would use. Let's see here if we get any kind of a bench concept. Here's your crosser. I was out there with Smith, but he just didn't pick it up correctly. So that's the kind of a play that I'm looking for. Problem with Smith is that he's a good player, but he's not fast. Here's bench. And you can see, even though he completed the ball, those guys are out there. They're actually playing that correctly. So setting this up once again, we could shift our line over a little bit to try to protect against the run off to the right. Here's your little crosser screen play. Let's go ahead and jump into another variation of this, how I use cover 3. I want to take away those outside routes with the cover 3 hard flats. And motion these guys over like so. You got the box covered up. You see a stretch play. Nowhere for the running back to go. Let's watch bench. The hardest adjustment you're going to have is setting up those middle linebackers. A lot of people that run these type of formations run these formations stock. And you can see pretty much everything was locked up on that. Set this up. And you've got people in run fits, so even though he picked up some yards on that, it's not, you're not getting gashed on the ground if you got guys out there. And we're going to go ahead and crash the line up. And here's you go. Here's bench is just basically covered. It's smothered right there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the other variation of deuce close. Here's the auto motions. This might be a little bit harder play to take a look at. But you can see defenders are out there. I just like it. It's a really good play. Obviously, you can use the blitzing play right here, and you can blitz all. Go ahead and push these guys down in the box. This is perfect. So a little crossing play right there. The pressure didn't come in. Got this set up. And this is a pretty good formation to do this. Not a very good example on this particular formation, but wanted to kind of show you how this works out. So I like this against deuce close. It's like taking away those little crossing routes and all that kind of stuff and having a very heavy box. So that's why I throw this into. Probably not going to be a defense I'm going to use too much, just in deuce close situations more than anything else. So let's go ahead and jump to the next one. All right, so here's a defense that I either use to really confuse my opponent or I'll get shredded in this defense. This is a defense that I've been using for several years now. It gives people kind of like a different look. You have easy pressure with it, but also if a person reads the leverage correctly, you can shred it with it. Now it's going to be the dime 2-3 Sam, and in particular we're going to go ahead and be using this particular play. The Oki Eagle 3 blitz is our base play. Now the reason I use this as a base play is that it's going to put a bunch of people down in the box. It's going to give me the option to aggressively blitz my opponent, but also give me the option of play a lot of coverage and just really mess up my opponent's reads and whatnot. So we're going to go ahead and use it as our base play, and we're going to go ahead and use this against random situations. So you can see how these guys jump down to the box, and what I like to do is to user this outside defensive back is my user. And a lot of times what's going to happen is he's going to be a fairly aggressive blitzer. Now what's cool about this is that you can actually have a fairly simple blitz pressure where you blitz all and then blitz your lineman. And what this does is going to put really aggressive pressure against your opponent if he's not prepared for it. So probably your best bet is not to blitz your opponent right away with this look. You want to go ahead and run coverage, and you can leave this as stock coverage right away. Now the weakness of this defense is going to be right here until this safety rolls over. So what you want to do is, if you're going to play in the middle of the box, you got to shoot out regardless of what's going on underneath out here against your opponent to make sure you protect against that and freeze his reads. So we're going to go ahead and just motion this guy out. I know there's a run going on right there, but I want to motion that guy out to try to protect against a play where you can have a bigger play. So we're going to go ahead and user this guy right over the middle of the line, over the lineman, and then we're going to shoot out right away to try to protect against any kind of a fast read, and just let me play my coverage from there. So I'm going to set this up once again. You can see how everything's pretty well set up. I have to protect this seam. Go ahead and protect the seam. And that's fine. If he's going to do some type of screenplay, I'm not really worried about that too much. It's about showing my opponent the same type of a look once again. I'm going to set this up one more time. Protect the seam. Outside seam right here. And you can see how I've got defenders that are floating into it. Now what's cool about this play is that you can go ahead and jump into the Oki Roll 2 version of this and show pressure, but now you've got a soft squat and rolling coverage. And you got that pressure coming in against your opponent, which will catch him off guard. Another adjustment you could do too when you jump into the Oki Roll is that you can blitz all, but take your edge defenders and put them into basically seam flats, and then your one guy in the middle, put him into a deep half, and now you've got a cover to match shell that your opponent has to think about. This is good in passing type of situations. So fairly quick and easy adjustments. Motioning people over, and we got basically screenplay. Oof, that should have been picked off. I was tapping onto my controller right there. So let's go ahead and jump into that. So let's set this up once again like this coverage. It's outside of that deep seam situation. It's going to show you how this actually pretty much locks up a lot of these coverages. Now I've got only 3 guys blitzing, and the line is just having a field day with me right now, but you can see how that's actually the CPU didn't know where to go with it. Now another adjustment is to run cover 4 drop. I like to user this guy and actually go ahead and take my outside guy and put him in a curl flat, filling that gap. This is going to be a situation where it's going to be more about just coverage more than anything else. So that's why I do like this cover 4 version of it. Go ahead and jump into cover 4. Curl flat outside. You have to get used to those adjustments, but this is a good way to just throw coverage against your opponent. And you still have some pretty good block sheds off the edge. Right here, it's going to be all out coverage, but you can have guys out. A better variation of this is going to be cover 3 seam, because you're going to be, it's just a quicker adjustment. You got that cover 3 shell, and you're going to get guys down in the box and all that kind of stuff. So I'd say your best bet is to show your opponent this type of a look, jump into cover 3 shell, slide these guys over, maybe play the sticks just to keep your opponent honest. if you want to go and use this as kind of a base defense. This is actually a pretty good defense against someone that uses a lot of mesh against you too. Because you're going to do, all you're going to do is underneath coverage. Or you can do the blitz. Hard flats right there. You can see the pressure comes in pretty good. And it just makes it harder for your opponent to kind of do things. So let's just go ahead and jump into that cover 3. Hard flats. Matching principles, we're going to protect our right seam. And you can see the pressure comes in right there. So I love this defense. It's a really good defense. You just get people down to the box. It's sometimes it's hard for people to know what to do against this defense. And I'm using a fast cornerback as my user, and it kind of just makes it a little bit easier for me to do that. So let's go and jump into the final formation out of this. All right, so the final play formation we're going to take a look at is going to be this this dime 1-4 defense. In particular, we're going to have the cross 3 fire. DB Sting, you're going to have basically the house coming after your opponent. We'll also have a DB Sting 2 blitz and then a cover 6 version of this. And how we're going to set this up is we're going to use a standard, basically 3 guys coming down to the box and double safety go as our base play, and then we're going to audible out of that. We're going to go ahead and run this against random gun packages and kind of go from there. So first play we'll take a look at is going to be like the crossfire. User, this guy right here. And you've got basically a crossfire blitz that you can use against your opponent. That's going to come in. I like to use the 3 rec hook guy on this. And I want to go ahead and man up the non-blitzing linebacker against my opponent. That's actually not the right adjustment. I spread the guys out and they actually got in, so they're going to get picked up. Let's go ahead and set this up once again. Set this up like so. We're going to bring the guy down to the box. I'm going to protect against any kind of seam play and kind of go from there, but you can see the matching principles are really good. The DB Sting 2 is a really good defense to go ahead and use. What I like about it is that it's already got basically you got yourself a cover 2 shell. And I can turn a cover 2 match shell on. So what's cool about it is just it's something that most players are not used to playing against. Cover 2 shell match, cover 2 zone match is easy blitz to basically kind of abuse against your opponent. So that's something you can take a look at. So let's go ahead and just set this up right here. Got your pressure that you can use against your opponent. This is not a defense I use a lot. So you got your pressure that you can use against your opponent with a DB sting type play. And then let's see what other adjustment we've got here. We got cover 6. What I do like about cover 6 is I can switch this play to play cover 6 against my opponent. I can switch either side. I guess what I don't like about this defense is that there's a tell when you switch, which there shouldn't be. But this is nice to basically have this in your back pocket, just have a cover 6 that you can jump into to have that zone coverage on both sides of it. So this is not a formation I'm going to jump into too much. I'm more likely going to use the 2-3 Sam and then some of the other stuff. That 3-3 odd is just like my new meta defense that I'm using a lot. So once again, guys, thanks for your support. I just wanted to show this video to you, put this together for you to show you some different things to jump into. I have my preferences on defense and stuff like that, and I'll show you some more coverage responsibilities and what I like to do. So thank you for your support, guys. Until next time.